Let's jump into problem 14.8a, a bond issued at a premium. This time we're doing the straight line method. So the straight line method is discouraged under US GAAP and Canadian ASPE, and it's not allowed at all under IFRS. So I like it less because the standard setters have said we prefer effective interest, but some textbooks do use the straight line method. So I want to show you how to do the straight line method. It's easier than the effective interest method. Let's jump into it. So this is a repeat of problem 14.4a, but that one we did effective interest. This time we're going to do the same problem, straight line. On April 30th, 2031, Ryan issues $10 million of 10-year 7% bonds. Market rate of interest is 6, so my rate is 7. Market thinks it should be 6. Therefore, this is going to issue at a premium, right? My rate's higher than the market. Because the market rate is lower than the bond rate, the bonds issue at a premium. The quote is 107.439, means we got 107% of what we asked for, 1.07439. 107% converts that as just a number. And we asked for $10 million, so we got a premium of $743,000. That is extra money we got that reduces our interest cost over time. We got an extra $743,000. So the journal entry here on April 30th is the same whether we were doing straight line or effective interest. We're going to debit cash of $107,439,900. We're going to credit bonds payable, $10 million. And we're going to credit premium, $743,900, and that reduces our interest expense over time. Okay, so that's April 30th. It notes the bonds pay interest semi-annually, October 31st and April 30th, and the company's fiscal year end is December 31st. It asks us to prepare a bond amortization schedule for the issuance in the first 2 interest periods. So the issuance happened on April 30th, and of course we had a premium, and the premium balance was $743,900. That was our starting point, and the bond carrying amount is $10 million plus whatever's in E, $10,743,900. And if you look back to problem 14.4a, you'll see this is exactly the same starting point, but once we get into the table, you see it's a little different, and the straight line table is easier. Bottom line, it's just an easier table, and it's so easy, in fact, that a lot of times textbooks don't even have you do a table. They just say calculate the number and keep the number straight in your head. I like the table because I don't like keeping numbers straight in my head. I get confused. So this table should help for that. Okay, so let's actually complete the table. So it asks for the issuance, that's this one, and then the first 2 interest periods. So the first interest is from April 30th to October 31st, 2031. That's 6-month period. Our interest payment is based on what we promised to pay, 7%, but of course it's semi-annual, so it's 3.5% of the maturity value. 10 million times 0.035 is $350,000. Our discount premium amortization, well, it's not a discount, it's premium. It's the initial premium divided by the number of interest periods. Our initial premium was 743. Our number of interest periods, it's 10-year bond, it's 20 interest periods because it's semi-annual. So we're going to go 743,900 divided by 20. So 37195. And the idea is that's a reduction in our interest cost, but we don't want to record this $743,000 as like revenue on day one. We record it over the life of the bond, and straight line just says do it straight line over the life of the bond. Effective interest says no, there's a little bit more to it than that. Okay, so our interest expense then, B minus C, if premium, 350 minus 37,195, 312,805. And the thing that makes straight line is I actually can ignore the right 2 columns for now. I can do the April 30th, 2031, and I can do the rest of the bond right now because I can go, well, if my payment 3.5% of maturity is 3.5% of 10 million, it's still 350. My Premium amortization, the initial premium is still $743,900. The number of periods is still 20, so it's still $371,995. This is just the same number. And then B minus C, it's the same B and the same C, so it's still $312,805. And what makes it straight line is this will be the same number for the whole thing, right? So that's easier. Certainly that's easier to deal with. Our discount or our premium account balance is E minus C, $743,900 minus $37,195. $743,900 minus $37,195 is $706,705. Now this number is just going to get lower and lower. It's going to reduce by $37,195 for the next, 10 years, so 20 rows here, but it's just going to keep going down by minus $37,195 because that number doesn't change. That's what makes it straight line, 669,510, and so on. 10 million plus whatever's in column E, so this is 10, 706, 705. This is 10, 669, 510. And again, we would just continue on down the page. So straight line, you can see the table. Once you sort of get that starting point, because it's straight line, it's just like the same again and again and again. Not too hard. And knowing how to use the table means we know how to do the journal entries. Let's do them. October 31st, 2031. That's this row. And it's a full 6-month period, so we're taking 6/6 of this line. We just take the whole line. Our payment is $350, so let's credit cash. $350. Our interest expense, $312,805, so let's debit int expense, $312,805. And let's debit the premium for $37,195. Beautiful. That's October 31st done. Now, from October to April, well, there's a date in the middle, December 31st. This is a 6-month period covered in this line, November, December, January, February, March, April. So it covers those 6 months between October and April. But we are only interested in 2 months, right? 2 months later, it's December 31st, 2031. So we take this information and we take the first 2/6 of it. We've already done this line. We've already done this one. So we're on to the next one and we're taking 2/6 of that. Our interest expense, $312,805 times 2/6. 104,268. That's our interest expense, 104,268. Our debit to our premium amortization is $37,195 times 2/6, $12,398. And our credit to interest payable is $350 times 2/6. And again, I think I'm off by $1 here. I'm just going to go 116,666. I know I should round up to 7, but to make this journal entry work, we'll call it 666. When my students are off by $1, no big deal. It happens all the time in this type of question. If we went to the penny, it wouldn't be such an issue. Let's continue. So that's it. And again, we credit interest payable here on December 31st because we don't actually make any payment today, right? We're just accruing the interest for our own accounting records to say that interest belongs in 2031. We can't wait till 2032 to record the interest because it's, debt that's outstanding in 2031. Okay, let's do interest and, everything up to April 30th, 2031, which is 4 months, January, February, March, April. So that's 4 months. So we're on the same line, but we're just going to take 4/6. So let's go ahead and do it. Our interest expense is $312,805 times 4/6, $208,537. $208,537. We're going to do our premium, which will be $37,195 times 4/6, $24,797. We're going to credit cash, and we credit cash for the full amount because They don't know our fiscal year and they don't care. They just know they get a check for $350 every 6 months. So we got to deliver that check for $350 every 6 months. And then we look at this and we go, it doesn't balance. $350 on the debits, $208, $537, and $24,797 on the credit. So I just subtracted them and look at that, $116,666. What is that? That's my interest payable, and that's the missing debit to make this thing balance. Debit interest payable, 116,666. Now, if you had done 667, you'd be off by $1. No big deal. We've solved it though. We've solved 14.8a. What is a big deal is you hitting that button for me. Really helps me in the algorithm. If these videos are helping you, I hope you'll help me, and I hope you'll have a great day. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. The next video in our series is right up here, and if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.